Yo, 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 Ego Dre, but you can call me Dre, and here I am. I'm back again, guys, here with a deck profile, another undefeated deck profile. I've been gone for a little while. I have not been playing online and like doing too much online stuff, but I have still been playing a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just a lot of real life Yu-Gi-Oh! And recently, because, you know, we're at the end of COVID and more, I have been visiting Yu-Gi-Oh! Black Market, YBM. You can see a little sticker here. That's going to be, Dio's place down here in SoCal. Very, very nice spot. If you have a chance to come out and see it, come out and see it. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of real life Yu-Gi-Oh! And doing a lot of tournaments and stuff like that. So hopefully a lot of the content that I start bringing back to the YouTube is going to be more real life stuff and more hopefully like blog stuff if I can get that in. Don't want to spoil things too much, but yeah. But for today, we got a deck profile for Invoked SHADDOLL Dogmatika. Normally a lot of the times when I play on or what I show on this YouTube account, it's a lot of combo and a lot of rogue because it's what a lot of people like. It's what a lot of people ask for. But for those who know me, I play a lot of Invoked dolls. I play a lot of dolls in general. Like I play a lot of SHADDOLLs in general. Winda is just too strong. Winda is Bay, and Construct actually is Bay. But yeah, Alistair the Invoker has always been a strong card and will not go away anytime soon, especially since it didn't get hit by the ban list. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. First thing I want to say is if you like the video, like it. If you want to subscribe to my channel, subscribe to it. And also my match history, or the matches that I ended up playing. I started the tournament off playing against Cyber Dragon with like Dragoon and like talent and like just good cards in it. They dropped the like Cyber Emergency, and I thought originally they were playing Drytron, but that actually ended up being my hardest matchup. I barely won 2-1, like almost got OTK twice. But yeah, and then I played round 2, played Drytron. That was 2-1. He kind of bricked game 3. No, he didn't brick. Like I ended up going first, and like I kind of bricked a little bit, but he couldn't out Winda game 3. Game 1, I know for a fact, he had a huge issue with bricking, I believe. I think it was game 1 actually. He ended up bricking, but either way, Winda ended up locking it in for me that one, and then Drytron 2-0. That was round 4. Sorry, round 3 invoked Eldritch Dogmatika first. I 2-0'd them, and then Drytron round 4. I 2-0'd them, and then Adagnister in the finals of round 5. It was a 2-0. Good games though, all around for the most part, and the local was around like 30 plus people, all decently playing meta. So it's never here in SoCal, at least it's never like too casual for the most part. Like almost like when you hit after round 2, like you can expect people who know how to play the game, and which is pretty cool. It's like pretty fortunate for us. But yeah, let's get into the deck profile, guys. Cool. So first off, gonna be starting off with the monster count. We have Alistair the Invoker. There is nothing to talk about here. I am not even going to waste your guys' time. You guys already know how strong Ali is. Normal summon, negate, hand trap, bait, whatever. Next we have 2 Ecclesia. The only thing I can talk about this is that I added the second Ecclesia. A lot of people are playing only 1 Ecclesia. I added the second Ecclesia for consistency purposes. She's really strong because here I'm also playing Maximus, as you can see right here. I'm also playing Maximus. Ecclesia, adding Maximus, this card I can talk about. It just makes the Dogmatika engine that much stronger. Every time you see Ecclesia, because Maximus is an option, you have a way to Winda. So Nadir Servant isn't your only way to Winda. Ecclesia is also your way to Winda. Because with Maximus, even though you do have to risk them having stuff in the extra deck to plus off of, also you have to risk the mirror match, it's still 100% worth it. Like the Dogmatika engine, I feel like is almost as bad as the Eldritch engine if you're not playing Maximus. Like, not even joking. Like it's not that good. It's not that good like up to that point. It's just Nadir Servant is really broken and it gets you to your Winda engine. But a lot of the times if you draw Ecclesia and you're not playing Maximus, it just feels like shit. Like you're grabbing Floor, which is a negate, or you're grabbing Punishment, which is a pop, and it's like I could be doing that in Eldritch too, you know what I mean? Like I could be grabbing pops, I could be grabbing banishes, I could be doing all kinds of bullshit. But with the addition of Maximus, it makes SHADDOLL's like the SHADDOLL engine. It makes your Ecclesia basically your SHADDOLL engine, which is what makes it pretty strong, at least playing Maximus. And I'll talk about this right now. Yes, Drytron do play main deck stuff, so 90% of the time they're gonna do playing Ints, or they're gonna be playing the Herald of Arclight, and they're gonna send those two. do it anyways. Just Maximus them. Maximus Drytron. You will plus more no matter what. Their ints popping your Makaba or their ints popping your Maximus or whatever turn 1, it is not that serious. It really isn't. Because as long as you flip Schism, nothing else matters. Like, it's not like Herald of Orange Light is going to add them an out to Schism. Nothing adds them an out to Schism, even with the Maximus effect. You will plus more than them, I promise. So just make sure you activate your Maximus effect. Versus Drytron, don't be scared. You outpace anyways, as long as you went first and you're seeing your whole engine. And obviously the one to floor, so. Cool. Good, I could talk about the Dogmatika engine. Let's go on to the Shaddolls. First, our Shaddoll count is very small compared to what you're normally used to. Most likely, it's going to be Shaddoll Wendy, 1 Ariel, 1 Squamata, 1 Dragon, and then 1 Beast. And that's all there is for the Shaddolls. I cut Hedgehog and I cut Genius. I was playing Genius during last format because it was really good for breaking boards. And I was also playing Hedgehog because Hedgehog's always been like a consistency card, or more of like a, like you can add like things off of it like a spell or a trap, or you can add obviously a monster. I've been playing Shaddolls for a long time, but you do not need Hedgehog. You don't. You do not need Hedgehog, so stop playing it. Like there was never a time where I missed Hedgehog, and there was never a time that I thought like, oh man, I really wish this was a Hedgehog right now. Like, this is not a thing. You know what I mean? So 5 is a good number right now. You really want to unclog those hands. This deck can get really bricky. Shaddolls in general can get really bricky, and you just don't want that to happen. You want to be in a simplified game state. Put your opponent in a simplified game state, and your top decks will always be better than theirs. Cool. Let's go onto the hand traps, because that's all the line up for the main monsters. Onto the hand traps, we have triple Cyfram Gear Gamma, and obviously the token driver. This card, or this hand trap in general was insane. All format. It was so strong all tournament. Like, every time I stopped somebody from doing anything, or stopped them from like starting their play, or was able to gamma them for them trying to hand trap me, like, it was just so good. Like, it stops them dead in their tracks, and it's just a strong card. It's good. It's better this format because of how many hand traps are being played. And I know it can be kind of awkward because a lot of the starting stuff you have to do is you have to normal summon the Alistair, so that way you take away like one of your chances to gamma during your own turn. Trust me, it's fine. It is absolutely fine, because if you go second and you have Gamma in your hand, you're going to be happy. And if you go first and you have a Shaddoll Fusion in your hand, or you have a Nadir Servant in your hand, and that's it, but you also have a Gamma, then you're for sure going to be happy. So trust me, it's worth it. This is a great hand trap. Play it for sure. Cool. Next thing we're going to go on to is going to be Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Obviously, not much to talk about. Hits everything. Play it for sure. Definitely hits everything this format. Just a good hand trap in general. The overall best of the best. And then next is Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. This card was and during the tournament, but I know it's good against a lot of things. There was some times when I used it and it was like decently strong, but there's also sometimes where I had it in my hand and it just didn't feel like it did much. Honestly, it helps with the count, but it's consistently a good card, which is nice. The nicest part about it for sure is that it's consistently a good card. So when you do have it, you're a little more confident that you'll have something. Like, say you have like an Ash and a Bell, or you have like an Ash or a Gamma and a Bell, like usually it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a little bit of a follow-up. It just adds to the hand trap count. It could probably be something else if you want it to be, but I prefer Bell. It hits like Revolt, it hits Engage if it ever came up for me, and it's just good this format. It's better this format. Good against Sharp Zoo, good against most decks, good against the Schism, you know what I'm saying? So it just gets you hit that mirror match. Cool. Now onto the spells. We have Terraforming and triple Meltdown. So Meltdown, obviously a broken card. Activate Shaddoll Fusion, activate any fusion card, they can't respond. This still, even to this day, has an issue with the rulings for some people. I don't understand why. I honestly don't get it. But they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out soon enough. It's been a long time coming. Please figure out your rulings for Meltdown, okay? Meltdown is a very, very strong, and makes it so you cannot respond to the chain link that things are being summoned on, and also makes it so your spell cannot be negated. Do not forget that. Do not forget that. So when Meltdown's up, keep it in your brain, keep it in your head. Also, as you as a player, if you're playing this deck, keep it in your head as well too. The next spell we're going to go on to is going to be Invocation, the fusion spell. Only 2. I could see somebody playing 3, but me, no way. Next spell we're gonna go on to is Shaddoll Fusion. This card going second is just so strong. Send a bunch of Shaddolls, negate with App Cologne, banish with Ariel, pop with Dragon. You guys know the deal. It's just too good. Next one we go on to is Nadir Servant. This card is literally Engage for Shaddolls, Engage for Invoked. When you're in a simplified game state and you're top decking cards like this, you're top decking cards like Alley, you're top decking cards like Meltdown, you're top decking cards like Shaddol Fusion, like you're gonna win. Like there's no way you're not gonna win. It's just making sure that you get into that simplified game state, which is hard. So like playing against combo is really, really good. And sometimes even against control, like, you know, you hit them with a couple hand traps and you guys are both top decking, your spells are gonna be stronger than theirs. Trust me, your spells are going to be stronger than theirs, and you're gonna plus more as long as you're playing it right and you're holding your hand traps for the right timing. It's a control deck at the end of the day. So learning, what helps a lot with playing this deck is learning how the rest of the decks in the format work. And that's crazy to say, because it's like, you know, you would think you would want to practice your own deck to be able to get better. But in this format, it's just, especially with control, practice other decks. Learn how they work, so that way you know how to stop them with whatever weapon you choose. Pot of Prosperity is going to be another spell, a big spell for me. I only played 2. It seems weird, but trust me, it is necessary. Most of the time, I'll talk about my banish targets when I get to my extra deck, but most of the time when I do use it, it's usually pretty good. It's necessary to get you to those 1-card starters, because the deck does have a lot of 1-card starters, and sometimes you just want to fix your hand, and Pot of Prosperity does that for you. It does that very, very well. I would highly suggest it if you're playing Invoked Dolls, so without the Dogmatika engine. I would probably play 3 of these and like more fusion spells if you want to do it that way. But with the Dogmatika engine, 2 of these, because like extra deck space is so tight right now. If it was just like Invoke Dolls though, you could always switch it up to the triple, but make sure you play this card. If you're gonna spend money on a game, spend money to win. Okay, cool. Now we got, for the other spells, last of the spells, we got Called by the Grave and Super Polys. So Called by the Grave, just a really good going first card. You don't want to get ashed on your Shaddol Fusion. You don't want to get ashed on your Deer Servant. Sometimes you don't even want to get ashed on Alley, even though he's like the bait for it. But yeah, this card's great. This card is really, really good. Can't drop it. Also, Super Poly. It is not as good as it was last format. Okay, I will tell you guys that right now. I'm only playing 2. You do not want to see multiples of it. You really don't. It is not as good as it was last format. However, it is still good. Like, it's still strong against, because it's obviously it's super poly, you know, it's like spell speed 4. It's still good against the Dretron board because you can hit ultimateness. It's still good against Dragoon because you can out Dragoon. It's still good against Winda, so you can out your opponent's Winda if you need to make your own Winda. It's just pretty strong for those things. And the biggest thing I like about it right now, because you can think about this with El Shaddol Fusion as well too. So if you're trying to play Invoke Dolls, you can play El Shaddol Fusion too. It's a quick play fusion. So what's big in the format right now? Tri-Brigade Zoo, right? So because Tri-Brigade Zoo is strong, and also Drytron Fafnir, because those cards are strong, people are playing Valor and Imperm. What gets over Valor and Imperm? Quick play fusion spells. Literally, normal summon Alistair, they go activate Valor. There's multiple times where I just said Super Poly, and I Super Poly to something off their board to make Makaba, especially when I was playing against a light deck, or I used it on my own monsters even. Like I used it on my Alistair and my Construct, or I used it on my Winda and their Dragoon. You know what I mean? So it's just really good against those targeting the face-up monster, because you get it off the field and then you get to chain it off. Even to droplet too, because the monster has to be face up on the board. So good card, still a strong card. Just the fact that it's a quick play spell. And then lastly but not least, the traps. Shaddol Schism, broken, nothing to talk about. Dogmatika Punishment, super good to be able to back up your Winda. So never bad at all. Cool. Now on to the next one. We're going to talk about the extra deck. So first things first, let's start with the Shaddol monsters. El Shaddol Construct. I only play 1. This would be the biggest change for me if I were to change anything inside of the deck. Probably just Construct to 2, possibly, but it's a tough choice, honestly. It's a tough choice. This extra deck space is very, very tight. There's always one spot that you can flip-flop with, and this is one of them. However, I'm not going to lie. There wasn't any times where I wanted a second Construct during the tournament, but there are times when I do play where I do want a second Construct. So this is for sure something to think about. However, Construct is probably the least used for me, at least. It's just a good super poly target, at least when you're playing against the Drytron board, because you want to clear the ultimateness and you want to clear whatever else that they might have out. Yeah, it's always strong. She's babe. She's been there forever. El Shaddol Winda, bro. I'm telling you guys, this card is the max C of the TCG. Because of this card exists, it is very, very, very difficult for any combo player to live in peace. They cannot live in peace. If you summon Winda, 90% of the time they have to play an out, otherwise they just lose. And combo players, they don't have space to play outs. They just don't. They only have space to play things like talents. They only have space to play things like droplets. That's it. Maybe imperms. Like, and if they can play those, then more power to them. If they draw them, more power to them. But 90% of the times, you're either backing it up with another Winda, or you're backing it up with like your Dogmatika's engine, or you're backing it up with hand traps. So just making sure that this is your win con and getting to it as fast as possible. That's what this build does very well. It gets to SHADDOll Winda as fast as possible compared to the other builds of Invoked, compared to the other builds of Invoke SHADDOll. It just gets to Winda as fast as possible because of Nadir Servant, because of Maximus. And that's what you're always aiming for. If you go first, you need to be able to make Winda. And if they can't do it with Winda, then you most likely just win the game. So this card will always carry us as long as it never gets hit. You know what I'm saying? Cool. Next, SHADDOll App Cologne. This card is insane. This card is, you played it too because of Nadir Servant. You played it too because of Maximus. You got to be able to send stuff. Not only that, when you activate SHADDOll Fusion, this is probably the best target. You just get so many pluses off of breaking their board with this card. You get to negate a card, you get to send Ariel, you get to send Wendy, you get to send Dragon. Like, you just get to break a whole board, especially when it's backed up by a Meltdown, and like your SHADDOll Fusion is protected, and like all of this happens on the same chain link, so that's all protected. Like, there's no way they can out it. Like, it's so good going second. It's good against trap decks, it's good against a lot of stuff. So I think this deck, this archetype in general, is just gonna be really, really strong this upcoming format. Like, what it does is really good. It's just a little bricky in its own self, but once we get the builds down, and I think this is like a decent build, I think hand traps are pretty good. Yeah, this is probably what I'm gonna take into the remote YCS for the most part. Hopefully I do well. Cool. Now, as for the Invoked engine, Invoked Purgatrio, Invoked Aguides, Invoked Makaba. Makaba is great. As always, your token negate. Aguides is also great, your token popping or board breaker, you know what I mean, and OTKer. And then Purgatrio, I think Purgatrio is still really good. Because I'm playing Maximus, I still play the All Mirage Secure Garden package, and I think that package is better than the Magistus Maiden by herself anyways. Like, I honestly think it's like much better. I think it's worth the spots is what it is. I think it's worth the spots. And if I'm going to play All Mirage, I thought to myself, like, I might as well play Purgatrio. There's a point in the tournament where at the last game, the Invoke Dogmatika Elvic player, he had like 2 Conquistadors up and a Golden Lord, and he had like a token face up, I think, too, or something. And I just summoned Purgatrio. No, he had like a set face down. I think it was Ali. He had a set face down, and I just normal summoned, and I just summoned Purgatrio, and like instantly, like, you can just tell it's just game. Like, going through like four monsters that he tried to wall up, like, Purgatrio will just steal games from some of those rogue matchups. So I think Purgatrio is definitely worth it, at least in my eyes. He is kind of like a flopper, I would say. He's one of the flip floppers that you could banish off of Prosperity, and also one that you'd possibly take out. But only 2 invoked like engines for the Ali engine isn't enough for me. Like, if I would do that, I would have to play 2 Makaba, or at least a Raijin, or maybe Kaliga even. Like, I could even play Kaliga. But Purgatrio, honestly, I feel like it just wins games, steals games. Too good. Cool. And then onto the Nadir Servant targets, I played 1 Titanclad, 1 Ints, and 1 Omega. Omega was super underwhelming for the most part, because I mostly use it for a prosperity target, and even when I gammed people, like, my gammas like never stayed up. It was usually during their turn, not during mine. But this was just a good option. I just wanted to see if I could be able to get it off with gamma. I never really summoned it, but even still, I could still either keep it in, or I might switch it out for a second construct. That's probably just the only option that I have for it. So it'd be this one. So basically my prosperity targets were this, which is a Verte Anaconda, this, and then either it was the second App Cologne, or it was the Purgatrio, or the second Winda. So those were usually the options for prosperity, but it was almost always these 2 first, and then depending on what your hand looked like, what engine you thought you were going to play with more. So always think about it that way. You activate prosperity, you banish the 2 obvious targets, and then the third one, think about what engine you're going to play with more depending on your hand. Like, if you have more Allies, or if you have more Nadirs or SHADDOll stuff, then decide. Like, you can even banish Titanclad sometimes, you can even banish Ints sometimes. It just depends on what you think you're going to see. And yeah, Ints obviously for popping, Titanclad obviously for doing the effect towards the end. If anything were to change, like I said, the Omega would be the option, but other than that. And then last but not least, we have the All Mirage, the Secure Gardener, and the Gravity Controller for the Link monsters, and then 1 Predaplant Verte Anaconda. There wasn't a single time that I summoned Verte Anaconda. Anaconda was kind of just doing its own thing, usually as a prosperity target, so not too much to talk about there. Gravity Controller obviously still necessary to play because you want to be able to pick up your Schism. And yeah, now onto the side deck. For the side deck monsters, we have Artifact Lancia. So 2 Artifact Lancia. I never put it in, not at least during the tournament, but there are times in testing where it was very, very strong against Tri-Brigade Zoo. I want to bump it up to 2, but I thought back row removal was a little more important, especially during like a control format and where people are playing Striker and stuff like that. Like more back row removal just felt like more important for me, at least for this tournament and like probably the next events coming up. So cool. And then we have Droll and Lockbird for the next monsters. This card is really strong against Drytron. You're always able to droll them. It's very strong against the mirror match. You're always able to droll your own Dogmatika engine and your Alistairs. It just stops their turn, so that way you're able to play, especially if your hand isn't the best. It makes it so you're able to play, and it's also a good backup option just in case, if you need it. And then triple Dark Ruler No More. You need a board breaking card. You need something to negate a board just in case. So if you're playing against rogue combo, like a lot of the times, even some Dragon Link builds are going around too that you need to be able to get over. Windberry statue, you need to be able to get over. So if you can make a Dark Ruler No More happen, or draw into a Droplet, or draw into an Imperm or something like that, it's really good for outing those floodgates just in case. And just those big combo like 5 negate boards that you need. Even against Drytron, it's like decent because you get to stop the ultimateness, which is like the biggest negates, and then you just have to deal with the orange lights. It worked pretty well. It came up against one of the Drytron players. I ruled him, and he had only Herald negates to work with from then on out, but he had too many, so I wasn't able to get through it completely. It was one of the games I lost actually, but Dark Ruler did end up helping out a little bit. It gave me a little bit of hope. If I had like one more push, I think I would have been able to do it. But Dark Ruler No More is really good. I like it a lot more than other cards. Triple Lightning Storm, dude, this card, I know it's pricey, but this card is insane. This card is really fucking good. Like, activate Lightning Storm, destroy all of their back row, or activate Lightning Storm, destroy all their monsters, bro. It's just like this format, I feel like it's really like even stronger than it's always been, because a lot of people are playing back row decks, a lot of people are playing control decks. They don't have a lot of Borreload Savage going on. Like, you don't have a lot of Omni Negates, not a lot of Hot Reds going on, things like those. So because of that, a card like this, usually if it resolves, which it does resolve for the most part, as long as it doesn't get negated by Ultimatus or something like that, usually when it resolves, even if you're hitting monsters, or even if you're hitting like one back row, bro, like, usually you're going to win the game because of how good this card is. It's just such a blowout. It's just such a blowout. So Triple Lightning Storm, if you can get a hold of them, I understand if you can't, but if you can get a hold of them, dude, they're so good. You can play Twin Sisters instead if you don't want those. But yeah, Cosmic Cyclone is going to be my Mystic Mine out, basically, just like my singular out if they have mine, or if they have like a chainable thing, like I need to be able to chain to. Like, there can be only one. Or like even the Schism, even sometimes, like just being able to banish it as well too. It's also good against Eldlik, like it came up against Conquistador once, and like it's good against Meltdown. They activate Meltdown, you can just Cyclone it, and if you still have the Ash in hand, then you can be able to Ash the actual Alistair if they have the Alistair still. So yeah, it's just double backup and multiple stuff. And Red Reboot, and that's gonna be the last card. This card's a blowout. If you draw it against trap decks, like it's just like so good. Like if you ever rebooted someone, you know what I mean. It's very strong reboot. But yeah, that's basically my deck profile, guys. If you liked the video, like it. If you like my channel, subscribe to it. Like I said, check out Yu-Gi-Oh! Black Market. Also, Slim also featured me on his channel as well too, so check him out for the deck profile. Thanks to him for the deck profile. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Hopefully, I'll see you guys soon with like some more content.